During the 1920s, while Europe was continuing to suffer the wounds of the First World War, in American cities at least, it was a boom time. Americans were spending money, they were dancing, they were partying, they were buying cars. They were buying bathtub gin. And they were buying stock, lots of stock. The stock market, the New York Stock Exchange, had become a national pastime, and Americans couldn't get enough of it. And the favorite stock of the day were in these new radio companies. Radio was like the internet of the 1920s, an industry that had come from nowhere. And the number one glamour stock was RCA, which in just a few years went from $1.50 a share to $600 a share. Americans couldn't get enough of it.
It was a classic stock market bubble. Then, on Black Thursday, October 24th, 1929, the bubble burst. Prices plunged. The downward spiral proved unstoppable. Eight hours after the market had closed, the ticker tape machines were still tapping out the bad news. The stock market crash started America's slide into despair.
During the 30s here, it was a complete and utter collapse. From the people's point of view, it was despair as values and prices spiraled ever onward, downward. It left them with no ability to earn, no ability to repay, no ability to spend, no ability to consume. Everything went down. The farm implement sale, the clothing store, the merchant. Everything spiraled downward, and of course with it went the banks.
People panicked. They rushed to withdraw their hard-earned savings.
Run on a bank means lines through the lobby and out the front door and down around the block. People waiting day and night to get up to see if they could withdraw their cash.
The millions that could not lost everything.
If you look at the period of time from 29 on, about half the banks in the United States closed.
The government failed to halt the downward spiral. In fact, it made things worse.
Private construction virtually ceases. Mills and factories shut down. Railroads come to a virtual standstill. Millions of Americans, men, women, and children, wait in the cold, on bread lines, in soup kitchens. 3 million Americans are ex-wage earners, unemployed. And the ranks of the unemployed are to soar to 15 million.
Banks collapsed. Industry ground to a stop. Millions were out of work. In Britain, working men, many of them war veterans, marched the length of the country to petition the government for the simple right to work. In Italy, Spain, and Germany, they marched to a different drum. With the failure of capitalism, fascism cast its shadow ever wider. John Maynard Keynes saw his nightmare coming true. In Cambridge, Keynes set out to save capitalism from itself by writing a book about what caused the Great Depression and what to do about it. He aimed to rewrite the rules of economics, to see a country's economy as a whole, as a machine that could be managed.
Keynes was the real inventor of macroeconomics. Concepts we take for granted today, like gross domestic product, the level of unemployment, the rate of inflation, all to do with general features of the economy, were invented by him.
He was writing a book which he thought would revolutionise the way we thought about economic systems, but it would also give us the means to make sure that they operated better.
It was written against the background of not only the collapse of the world economy, but the potential collapse of democratic government. Hitler became Chancellor of Germany in 1933. Democracy seemed to be losing ground, and with democracy, the system of liberty. So Keynes had to produce an answer to the Great Depression, or democracy would be swamped by totalitarianism.